been trained by the G7 expert, and the G7 expert has to sign that as well. And that if we chose to do spot audits as a group, and I believe they have been done, I, as a G7 expert, I would lose my certification when I'd have to reapply, pay the $2,500 to go through the training again. So there's some punitive actions that are now in place. We're moving the right direction, but there's still room to improve.
I appreciate that answer, Jim. Please.
Yeah, I think it's at least G7 provides a means to train people and inform people on base calibrations of a press and getting them to a certain standard. So at least it's something, because if people are not using that, then what is it what they're going to use? So I don't think it's what was the word used? Money.
A way for the industry to squeeze the printers for more money, to have another logo. Like, by the way, they're after FSC as well. That's another one that they're going crazy about.
No, I think it's a good thing, because also, for example, our G7 experts, if they go on site, they train them, they teach people really what is important to keep the press stable, etc. And at least you have something, right? So I definitely agree that it's a good thing that it's there. Can you maintain the same thing? Of course, if people could just do the certification and then start printing completely different. But we're just hoping that, when you've taught them that this is the best way to go, also for themselves, because at least they have reproducible quality. They can trust that what they delivered their customer one day, they can do the next day. If their choice is to not adhere to that standard and just say, we got the label, we're good, that's their choice. But I don't think they would be the ones getting all the customers and at the end also surviving. Right?
One more comment?
Please.
So I was a co-chair of a premier study as part of NPES last year. It was basically an inkjet study, and because I was a co-chair, I was able to add a question, do you feel color certification is important? And we got a very different answer. Now, we were asking the print service providers, right? So the print service providers said, yes, it's important, but we have those of us who have used it successfully, and this is the study's author, those of us who have used it successfully, I'm paraphrasing obviously, have found more benefit in what we learned in order to achieve the certification than in the certification itself. So they are actually agreeing with your survey, which is the logo itself, much less value than what we took away from the training and the education.
Okay, so I think the important point is that a G7 stamp on a website does not necessarily mean that printer is always, every day, adhering to the standards, but that the color management professionals are trying to figure out some way to...
At least they're doing an effort to...
I don't know.
Does my driver's license mean I always drive well?
I totally get it. But if you're going to stand in front of it, I'm G7 certified, then you had better be cleaning out that press every day and keeping your press room at the correct humidity and keeping your, whatever else needs to happen. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that printers are being asked to contribute to, and if this is one of them, then I want to know if I am going to trust that seal, that I can trust that those printers are adhering to what it took them to become G7 certified.
Well, did the printer choose G7 just to have the label?
That's what I'm saying.
But there's not really a way to know, right? So,
I know that,
yeah.
But that's kind of the point here, which is, does it have value if there's no way to know that people? And I'm sorry I'm harping on this, but it's a big subject with printers right now.
Let me tell you another story.
Love the stories.
So I worked with an inkjet printer. They basically do a combination of silkscreen and flatbed UV and other forms of inkjet printing in Orlando, Florida. He brought me in because he was having difficulty running work between an Inca flatbed printer and a ViewTech hybrid printer. And he wanted to be able to shift work between them and also run jobs in both places when he had very large quantities. His color requirements were actually rather low because it was things like campaign signs and yard signs and things like that, but he still wanted them to look the same. So I basically took him through the G7 process on both those pieces of equipment, and when we got done, and I was only down there for 2 days, and when we got done, he said, "Hey, can you stay a couple more days?" Because he saw the improvement in the quality of the consistency, the common visual appearance, and he basically has brought me back 3 more times. He's bought anytime he buys new equipment, he has me come in and come down, because he first of all, he's too busy to do it himself, but he understands it now. He understands the importance of it, and he's like, I originally had you come down just so I could get the seal, so I could get some more work. He actually took 6 months to submit his prints. I had to reprint them for him because he was so much more enamored with what it gave him, and the other opportunity had gone away, and now he is certified, and he is one who, what's behind the seal is actually there. But, unfortunately, I believe you're right. For every one of him, there's probably at least one who just lets it go by the wayside. And that's hopefully what happens is at the end of the year, they don't pay to get recertified, and they lose the right to display that seal.
Is there a daily logbook they have to fill out? Do they have to prove? So that's what I'm
No.
saying. I mean, I get it. I appreciate I think everybody understands what I'm trying to get through, and hopefully the people out there who have G7 realize that the customers are not just going to take it on face value. You're going to have to, the proof is in the printing, so to speak. And if you're not hitting that color consistency with that G7 logo on it, I hope that they actually go back to Idea Alliance and say there's something wrong here. And, maybe the customers need to be more involved. But we're kind of winding down here. We just have time for to have a final thought. So Bart, what is the future of color management in GMG's perspective, and also where are you here at the show, and how can people get in touch with you?
Right, we're at 5144, booth 5144. The future of color management is to integrate color management in everything, so that you get the best possible match everywhere. We did develop some new technologies that we're showing, and that basically turn around how color calculations are done, and we're seeing a lot of new things come out of that. For example, for ink mixing companies, etc. So it goes beyond just the printing. We've discovered that there's a whole lot of other things that with the technology that we have that can be done.
And did you mention your website by any chance? Did you mention your website?
gmgcolor.com.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Jim?
Thank you.
So I think the future of color management is in automating everything we can automate. I was at your previous panel, and they talked about less touch points. The less involved we have to have a human being, the less we can depend upon my judgment versus your judgment when we're setting up the color management process, the better. So that's where color metrics is going. Based upon the things I learn in my consulting practice, I'm working with our software developers to build automation tools to automate some of the things that I find most difficult when I'm in the field. They're originally built to help me, and they're then built to obviously help our customers use them. And then you can find out about us at colormetrics.com. It's a little tricky. It's the word color spelled the American way, COLORMETRIX.com.
And also, since you do work for Idea Alliance, and that's why you're here, how can people learn more about G7 certification? What's going on with Idea Alliance is now an industry organization, actually.
Yep. So the organization can be reached at Idea Alliance, which is a tricky one. I'm not going to try and spell it, but if you Google Idea Alliance, it's one big word, .org, and then you put a backslash in there, and then the letter G and the number 7, you'll get taken to a special landing page that has a very decent organization of all of the G7 materials, which was not there 6 months ago. So it's a big help to us who are out evangelizing this. So go take a look.
So thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. Thanks to everybody here in the audience for spending your time with us today, and everybody at home. This was our last panel today, but we'll be back tomorrow with some more. The SGIA Wide Format 101, 102 workshop is coming up next. Ray's there from SGIA. Wave to everybody. And thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate it.